What's going on, everyone? Today we're here with Miss Terri Bowles. Now, she is a licensed therapist. She's an author, a very well accomplished sister in our community. So, Terri, thank you for joining us on the show today.
Thanks for having me.
So, Terri, I looked into a few things that you have going on, and you're an author. Now, a
Yes,
lot of your books, one of them I saw, you're addressing the topic of bullying, correct?
correct. Yes. In that particular book, I talk about the power of words, the power of forgiveness, and bullying, and it's making healthy choices.
So let me ask you a question about bullying, because I grew up at a time period, and I had a bully at one point in time, and
Mm,
the way I was told how to deal with a bully is that, listen, if you let people beat on you or hit you, they're not going to stop. You got to fight back, and when you fight back with a bully, they're going to quit. And of course, I did that as a small child, and then
mm,
I was never bullied again. Same thing that happened to my daughter. She was being bullied by a girl. And I told her the exact same thing. She fought back. She was never bullied again. But you look at the 21st century version of bullying is just name calling, and they consider that bullying. So could you explain to me maybe the different time period I grew up in versus now with the area of
Well,
bullying?
well, there's a difference between just being mean and bullying. So, and when I'm doing presentations at the schools, I'm making sure that the kids are aware of the difference. Somebody's just being mean, and they may call you a name or make mess with you every once in a while. They don't really want to play with you. That could just be a mean kid. They just might not like you, what have you. Bullying is something different. It's when it's a consistent um, incident, behavior that is happening uh, on a daily basis, every other day, just constant taunting of someone. And bullying is different than when probably you were younger, when I was younger, your daughter was younger, because one, there's so much technology, you can't get away from people. And two, when people are bullying now, like these kids or this generation or people just don't have empathy, so they really don't care. They don't care about your life. They are going for blood. They will tell you to go kill yourself. Don't care if you do. And I work with elementary age kids. I work with teenagers, even sometimes adults. If you watch social media, I follow a lot celebrities and things like that on social media.
Mm-hmm.
People really have no care or concern for their lives or other people's lives. So the bullying is really different because this generation doesn't have coping skills. So when I was younger and, I got talked about for being chunkier or my lips or whatever, dealt with it. My friends would take up for me, you move on. Now, people don't know how to cope with that. These kids don't know how to deal with things that are hard. And so it makes it difficult when they have to constantly face the quote unquote bully. They have no coping skills. No coping skills, lack of empathy, and a whole lot of technology is what's different than years before.
Right. And when I was a kid, let's say if you had a bully, only people would
Mhm.
know about you being humiliated would be just the kids at the school, and maybe if they
Right.
told somebody else. But now, if you being humiliated, it's like everybody in the world could see it literally in a few seconds.
hmm They screenshot.
Hmm.
They will taunt you through all of these little quote unquote kid friendly apps like Musically, Snapchat. They don't so much use Instagram, but Musically and Snapchat are really popular with kids. And I know when Musically first came out, I wasn't aware that they could communicate on the app. So what they would do, one group of kids I know, they dance a lot on Musically, and they would message each other, or you don't know how to dance, you lame, you this, you this. And so everybody in the school is friends with each other on Musically. So then they're taunting each other, then they take it to school. And it just becomes over just dancing. Like, it just becomes a big mess.
Yeah, you talk about the kids, even the adults. I mean, I talk about the, even the platform on like fits like YouTube, and if you're a content creator, you have to deal with, I don't view it as bullying, but some people view it as bullying. People name call you all the time. They threaten your life. You got to watch people doxing you online. So they can expose who your family is and what people work. And it just really get out of hand. I mean, I know a lot of, the governments are trying to create different cyberbullying laws out there. But why do you feel that people in American society is just so, I can't even say a nice word. I mean, why do they have such savage behavior?
Because they don't care. And that's exactly what I mean about I spent my whole year, the theme for one of my schools that I was at is empathy. The adults don't have empathy, and they're not teaching these kids. They just do not care. And when you have social media, you have a tool that you could be whomever you want to be. Behind your phone, you can text whatever you want. Nobody's gonna see you. You don't have to face that person, so you can be whomever you want to be online. And people take advantage of that. And that comes a lot from, too, when people fulfilling some kind of part of them that is lacking in some way. For example, a kid or an adult that maybe when they were in high school, they weren't as popular and things like that. Well, now, you all meet up on social media, and you can put up all the filter pictures you want. You can come up with all the cool sayings you want. You can make yourself sound super cool because it's online. And some people forget that some people know you in real life, but the ones that don't, or that's not going to check you out, you are this figure that you've created. And so people, I like I said, I follow all the gossip sites and things on social media, the Shade Room, Baller Alert. People come on and talk to these celebrities like they are not human. I mean, they come and they say the craziest things to these people and then get mad when the celebrity says something back. Like they just don't care. Talk about people's kids. They make fun of people with mental illness. I mean, people just, it's really sad, but people just don't care.
Yeah, people these days, it just amazes me how they are. You see the worst of the worst. And my thing is, you have children and, where's the parents? Like, why the parents aren't saying, hey, wait a minute, this isn't right. I try to teach my kids, definitely right from wrong. And just to be online, doing the things that some of these kids are doing, it's unregulated a lot of times from the parents. Because the parents, like, the kids get in trouble, or let's say if a child is being inundated with bullying, and then you have a child gets to the point of killing themselves over it. And I'm like, well, what's going on? It's like the parents didn't know anything.
It's the one thing as far as our youth, there is a lack of supervision. Technology raises the kids nowadays, raises, entertains, educates. So there is a lack of interaction with youth. They bothering you, go play your tablet, or they're playing their video games. A lot of kids don't play outside a lot anymore. A lot of kids don't have a lot of social skills. The parents rely on these technology tools to keep their kids busy, to teach their kids to do, whatever. And so, and if they're not involved, then a lot of them won't know. Or you have the kids whose parents are telling them, if you want to call me in class, you can take your phone out and call me. and it's a second grader. Or if this kid say something to you, you can punch them. If they say something to you, you can punch them. If that teacher says what X, Y, and Z, tell them your mama said. I mean, I hear that more than I've ever heard it in my life. The parents are encouraging the behaviors and they're not disciplining the behaviors. And it makes it extremely hard for teachers, school staff to do their jobs, because all day long they're having to deal with this disrespectful kid because their mama said they could do X, Y, and Z, or my mama gonna come up here and do X, Y, and Z, and that happens. Like that literally happens.
Yeah, it do it in the schools. Like for instance, one time we pick up my daughter, and they say, "Well, did you text them?" I said, "Text her about what?" They say, "Why don't you call them and come down?" Like, no, just text them. Like, they encourage the kids to have these phones in schools, and that's what a lot of these problems come from. Is these kids having cell phones. I mean, cell phones is good if you want to communicate, with your child, and that okay, that's great. That's good. Pick them up, whatever. But now, the kids, of course, just take that out of hand. And we was in school, it was, back in the day, it was like pagers. You could have no pager in school. I was like, oh no, it's you're here to learn. You're not here to be communicating on that. So, outside of all that, with definitely the bullying, and we have a lot of, and this goes along with this mental health issues. What mental health issue in, I guess, a lot of people they're possibly dealing with where they feel like it's okay to inflict pain on people?
Well, I wouldn't say that they think it's okay. It's kind of a self-preservation tactic. A lot of people that bully they come from different situations, low socioeconomic statuses. A lot of bullying is occurs in low poverty areas. Haves and have-nots. And even it could be a situation where none of them really have anything, but I might have one pack more noodles than you have, so now I have something one up on you. You have people that have relational issues, family situations, parents not there, daddy in jail, mama on drugs, somebody died, things different like that. Low self-esteem, mental illness, situational, and it's all to try to gain power over something that they feel powerless over, to try to boost themselves up in some way, try to distract the attention from whatever their insecurity might be. A lot of kids in school bully because they are suffering as far as scholastically. You have a lot of kids that can't read in the sixth grade, can't read by recognition. So, I mean, there are the different instances, and I wouldn't say they think it's okay. I just think, and then a lot of it is just fads. People do what other people do. Adults do it, kids do it. Adults think it's okay to pick on this person, talk about this person, screenshot this person, whatever. Kids do the same thing. And a lot of kids are not censored from a lot of things. When I was younger, I couldn't, we couldn't be around our parents, our aunts and uncles when they were talking. They was always pushing us outside somewhere, go in the basement, and these kids, I had third and second graders watching Empire with their parents. Yeah. They come to school talking to me about it. So, there's just a definitely a different level of parenting and sensory going on. And, those are a lot of the reasons that play a part into the bullying that's going on.
Yeah, because, you're talking about Empire, which is not a show for children. Not at all. That's for adults. And I think that's the problem, that we blurred the lines between what's for adults and what's for children. And even the way some parents, not me. Some parents allow their children to talk to them any kind of way. Mm-hmm. And some parents allow their children to cuss in the house. Mm-hmm. And don't say anything. I don't get this new age parenting. To me, it don't work. And that's why you have kids so entitled these days. They don't appreciate nothing. These kids are just giving everything, and it's not a good thing. Not at all.
It sets them up for failure, because what's going to happen is that once that child, if they ever leave home, or once they continue to grow and become of adult legal ages, nobody's going to care that your mother or father let you do whatever you want. No one's going to care that if you come into late work that, oh, well, I just have my mother write a note. It doesn't work like that. So when we don't educate and properly prepare our kids for adulthood, we do an incredibly disservice to them. And then that's when you will have kids running into the law. I have a little kid that in the second grade that will tell me if the police come talk to him, he ain't gonna do nothing but fight them back. He in the second grade talking like this. And somebody is doing a disservice to him. He thinks it's okay to call people the N-word. And we had a conversation about it. And he says, well, it's okay to call people an N-word, especially if it's a boy, because that means they a man's. So it's okay to do it. And I had to explain to him that what may be okay at home is not okay in other places. And how do you explain that to an 8-year-old? How do you let an 8-year-old talk any kind of way, at home? You let him play with matches, you let him do whatever. And then when he comes to school in the second grade at 8 years old, he has to be able to understand that everything at home you can't do here. And that's hard to explain that to him because he doesn't have rules at home.
Right. And then a lot of times, the parents, you can't, they'll side with their kid, many times. And it's like, wait a minute, at least listen what the teacher had to say, at least a little bit.
Almost every time they will side as if they don't know that their child is not a troublemaker.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. Like I hear what the teacher say, but then I'm gonna hear what my child have to say, find out both sides and see what's going on. Then I'll make, my decision. I'm not gonna go in. And then when you have a parent going there just cussing a teacher out, just from the rip off of just what this kid say, you're like, wait a minute, but you say, oh, well, now I get why this kid is this way. The apple don't fall too far from the tree.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. But a lot of parents don't care about that. And again, and the other issue too is, especially in the Black community, we don't get involved in our children's education. We send them to school and that's it. You don't come volunteer. You don't come participate in school dances. You don't go on field trips. You don't just come and peek in the room, say hi to the teacher, parent conference. We send our kids to school. We don't go. We don't know about their educational needs. We don't know the teachers. We don't know the students. We don't know the protocols. But as soon as something happens, then we want to come and we want to yell and cuss everybody out. And we can't do that. We have to believe in ourselves and believe that we are worthy and that we are important. Because if you don't, other people won't. You might get a teacher or two that really, really cares. But if you're not showing interest, hey, they have 19 other kids. They just go keep moving along. You have to take control. If your child has an IEP, individualized educational plan that can be given because of behavioral, emotional, or mentally delayed, things like that needs, you need to attend the meetings. You need to come and understand what it is your child has been diagnosed with. You need to come and understand the plan that your child is on. You have to be involved. You just have to be. And that doesn't happen a lot in our community for different reasons. One, somebody else's parents didn't do it, so why am I doing it? 2, I don't feel like it. 3, perhaps your work schedule. 4, you're so, you could be embarrassed because you may not know the verbiage that the school staff is using, and so you don't want to ask them to explain things to you. So I mean, a lot of things play into factor, but it's really, really important that our parents be involved in our children's educations.
Yes, it is extremely important. And, you know, my mom, my dad, they didn't play that. You know, you had to get your work, or it was going to be some problems. And
Right.
that's what, you know, we definitely have to focus more on education with our children, because education is something that no one can take away from them. Is their education. But we're looking at also things in this society. You're talking about, you know, some of the kids as well, you know, all the racism we have going on in society and the discrimination going on in society. In the area of our mental health, how does racism really affect your mental health?
Well, being that the whole premise of racism is that the minority group is just that the minority is less than the majority, that can definitely mess with somebody's mental. And I feel that just as a culture, as a generation, and historically, for Black people in America, we carry an oppressed genealogy. Our ancestors' experiences are continuously passed down to us from generation to generation to generation. The oppression, the psychological enslavement, and that stunts Black people from doing more than what we are doing. We feel as though I had a conversation with someone about Black Panther, and how people didn't understand why people were getting all excited going to see Black Panther, dressing up. It's just a movie. What's the big deal? And I offered these thoughts. One, if people want to be happy about something, let them be happy. 2, Black people traditionally seem to have a leader. We feel as though, it seems as though we don't believe that we have it within ourselves. We need a leader to lead us. I felt like I hadn't seen that kind of excitement since Obama was first running for office. And when Black Panther came, it was just beautiful. I mean, my timeline was beautiful. My family and friends dressed up to go to the movies. Some of us have been several times just to raise the box office numbers. And we felt empowered. Like, collectively, we felt empowered. But then when somebody comes and knocks that off, usually it's us, because again, we're oppressed, psychologically enslaved, house slave, field slave. That kind of mentality carries along with us. And when we don't feel empowered mentally, then we don't do anything. We wait until we can find somebody, or for someone to direct us. Whereas the majority race doesn't. They do what they want to do.
Yeah, they never had constraints put on them like us. You know, we have constraints on anything. You know, they kids wilding out, but if our kids wild out, we real quick to shut them down. Like, you know, we don't want no problems with them, or, you know, they say certain things, you know, do what they want to do, but we do it, and it's, you know, the hammer's brought down on us and every weight of it. You know, and
it's very evident with the administration in the White House. Every day it's evident that there is racism, racial issues very much still exist.
Oh yeah, Yeah, definitely, especially with 45 in there. And like I tell people, it's definitely waking a lot of us up because, a lot of us felt that, oh, well, racism is over. Even in the media trying to say post-racial America. And it's like, boy, when they made that declaration, it's like, oh, no, now when 45 got in office, he
Right.
took it all the way back 40, 50 years in the mentality of these people.
Mm-hmm. They were made alive again. It was still always happening, but they could do it in subtle ways and this and that. But they got a leader that made it okay. They made it okay. Like, we already know, we have this privilege. We already know that. But now we have a leader that's allowing us to be open and outright with it. So,
yeah, to act out what they always talked about in their homes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that in itself, like a lot of black people are just sitting so shocked and, oh my God, and it's like, wait a minute, say if you really studied the history of this country, you should not be surprised, by any of this. So for people that's constantly coping with that within our community, or who have mental health issues, what could you tell them?
What I focus on is a lot of people focus so much on the word mental illness. And I just like to focus on mental health. We need to take care of our mental health because if we're ever diagnosed with a mental illness, then we're better equipped to deal with those different things. And everything is it has to do with mental health. From you not wanting to get up to go to bed, to go to work in the morning, stress, anxiety, grief, depression, ADHD, all of those things are components of our mental health. And in order for us to take care of our mental health, we have to acknowledge that that's what it is. It doesn't mean that you're crazy. Your mental health is just your daily ins and outs and doings, the way you think, the way you act. All of that are components of mental health. If I don't want to get up and go to work in the morning, that's an issue with my mental health. If you're having a hard time adjusting to something, that's part of mental health. So we need to be able to have an open mind and be able to understand it's okay to say mental health. And if you are diagnosed with a mental illness, it is not a life-ending sentence, and that seeking help, seeking assistance is okay. Because we would rather go and sit and drain all the energy out of our friends or Big Mama or whomever, to deal with what we're going through. Mm-hmm. Or, oh, she just act like that, ignore her, whatever. No, something is wrong. She needs to go address that. My family is dealing with grief. I lost a cousin in January.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
My uncle, thank you, died 2 weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
So my grandmother is 86.
Mm-hmm.
She had 11 children. She now has 8. She had 30 grandchildren. She now has 28. And then she has great-grandchildren and great-great-grandchildren. She's watched her whole immediate family die, her husband die, 3 children, 2 grandchildren die. And I've been telling her for years, been telling my family for years that she really needs help. That's a lot. And with my cousin and uncle dying in the same year, my family's having a hard time with it, especially, my aunts, and some of my cousins as well. And, I'm the family go-to, right? But when I tell them, because I can't do counseling, it's unethical for me. But when I tell them grief counseling works and it's necessary for you to work through your grief, And there are so many free resources for that. People can call hospice, and they have grief groups and all those sorts of things for people to deal with. And people just won't call. They just won't make the call. And it's almost as if they want to stay in that place. But I think a lot of it is also fear of the unknown and the tabooness that comes with it. I'm not talking to no therapist, but they want to talk to me. They forget I'm a therapist. But, you know, I'm Terri, I'm family, or I'm the friend. So talking to me is different than going out seeking a psychologist or seeking a grief group or things like that. We have to get out of that. We just have to.
Well, you know, a lot of us, you know, are raised or like, I ain't telling them strange people my business. You know, I tell somebody I know, a friend, like you say, family member.
Drain the life out your friend.
Yeah, pretty much. You know, and you know, definitely, if you got grief, it's something you definitely need to deal with. I mean, you can't just go on like tomorrow, like, oh well, everything good. I mean, I understand like some people are sick a while, so you're like mentally prepared for that. You know, because they've been sick. But if it's something like, you know, a sudden, you know, loss, like an accident or something that affected, like he got sick and ill and passed away just all of a sudden. And yeah, it's something that, you know, we definitely need to deal with, because in our community, we definitely look at that as taboo. I think the only counselor Black people had, you know, sometimes they would go talk to the preacher, but people really don't do that no more. I mean, because, you know, how it is in the Black church now, we all know how that goes. So, you know, so Terri, if anyone, do you offer people to possibly contact you if they need some sort of therapy? Do you do that?
What I do, I don't do individualized therapy anymore, but what I do are I have 3 coaching sessions. And what I do in my coaching session, you know, you would fill out a form letting me know what the presenting issue is, what your goal is, give me some background history, and I will coach you through that particular issue for 3 sessions, 45 to 60 minutes. And in those sessions, we can begin to address the root issue and develop tools to help you manage whatever the situation. And then after that, if I feel that you could benefit more from counseling, then I would recommend that you seek out counseling services. So mine would be called coaching. Okay. And the benefits of coaching is, you know, it's not going through insurance or anything like that. It's just the one-time fee. And then if you need it, then that's when you would begin to look into your insurance options and things like that for counseling. Okay.
All right. So, well, do you have a website that people can go to possibly, if you want to think about looking into that?
Sure. My website is www.boldvisions, BOLDVISIONS consulting.com. And then you can follow me on Instagram at Visions Bold, Facebook Bold Visions Consulting, and Twitter at Visions Bold.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. So make sure if you want to possibly get some coaching sessions, possibly, or you want to ask, you know, Sister Terri, just some things that maybe I didn't ask, just for some clarification, maybe about school, bullying, etc. Make sure you contact her. That those contacts, we'll put them in the pinned comment in the video, so you can do that. So, Terri, thank you for joining us on the show today. We appreciate you stopping by to talk about definitely great topics we need to talk about.
Thank you. I appreciate you showing concern and interest for that topic. Definitely. I appreciate it. Thank you.